The tightrope that he walks is he was part of the last administration. He was there for all the good things they did. He was there for their shortcomings. So now he's got to establish with the players that the things that he's doing differently are really going to impact things in a positive way. So not just make guys more comfortable, but it's going to allow them to take the next step. And it's a very unique situation because when you come in and guys aren't used to you and haven't seen how you operate and don't know the decisions you made and how much you were part of the process, it's a different equation. So it's great to be the cool guy and the fun guy, and everybody wants to be that. But at some point, you're going to have to make really tough decisions about whether it's cuts or discipline or all those things. And being the cool, fun guy isn't necessarily going to serve you as well as you hope in that moment. And, we'll see.
Yeah, because both styles work. There are some coaches that are, more laid back, more players coaches, and it works. And some guys who are harder disciplinarians. But we do have to wait and see. When I was covering the Knicks, I was covering them when Jeff Van Gundy quit after 10 games. And Jeff, of course, was a hard-nosed disciplinarian type coach. And Don Chaney, who's a great guy, was an assistant on the staff. He became the head coach. They won their first game, and it was kind of sloppy. They blew like a big lead, but they still won. And over the next couple of days, all the players were talking about how, man, it's so, because Don was more of a player's coach. So it's so great. We're not doing this, we're not doing that. The only player, Latrell Sprewell, said, we'll see. I mean, sometimes you need a hard-nosed, Latrell said it, disciplinarian type coach. I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, sure. I don't know. We'll see if this works. They lost 16 of their next 19 games, and it didn't work out. So for some guys, it'll work, but like Coach said, we do have to wait and see if this is going to be what they need. Because McDermott, we always talk about, got the most out of that defense. One way you do that is you really are hard driving on guys.
So I understand what you guys are saying kind of in the abstract, like how it works generally in the NFL, or, the waiting to put, grade this based on how it goes down the road. I'm looking at this very specifically for this team in this moment. Why did Sean McDermott get fired? There's only one correct answer. Because Josh Allen was crying in the locker room. Because of the emotional devastation of that loss. Because there was so much pent-up tension around that team and everything that it felt like, I don't want to call it change for change's sake, but it almost felt from the owner that's what it was. They weren't expecting to fire McDermott, but everybody was so emotionally wrecked from that moment.
Yeah.
So because of that, I do think, even if he doesn't want to be this type of coach long term, even if he knows that I'm about to have to, and that can be a hard pivot, I know.
Okay. Oh, wow. I mean, wow. Just, wow. Unbelievable. We are really starting this episode with a bang, aren't we? If I'm being completely honest, the single thing that got under my skin more than anything else throughout the entire previous season, and I choose that phrasing deliberately, was Nick bringing up that whole controversy about crying over Josh Allen. He called it humiliating, called it preposterous, and launched into this extended tirade. That incident, without question, provoked more fury in me than any other topic I analyzed during the whole year. And now, to hear him pivot and claim, oh, Sean McDermott was let go because Josh Allen was weeping after that defeat, and there was all this accumulated tension and pressure, it's just. Honestly, it requires every single ounce of my composure, self-discipline, vitality, and equilibrium to resist the overwhelming urge to snatch my laptop and hurl it with maximum force against the nearest wall. For one thing, I would then be forced to purchase a replacement computer. For another, I would inflict significant damage upon my wall. And thirdly, I would present myself as an utterly unhinged individual. We are absolutely going to dissect this topic. We are going to delve into it thoroughly. However, before we commence, I must earnestly request that all you Buffalo Bills enthusiasts out there please remember to hit that subscribe button and watch the entire video in its entirety, as that is unequivocally the single most effective method to support the expansion of this channel, and I would be immensely grateful for your support. Alright. Now that we have addressed that preliminary matter, Sean McDermott was dismissed because he persistently failed to produce a meaningful impact during the postseason. Yes, Sean McDermott, the head coach, repeatedly failed to make a substantive difference in playoff games, particularly in his capacity as the defensive coordinator and architect. Consistently, even during the campaigns where they extracted maximum performance from their defensive personnel. First of all, that peak period was several years ago now, multiple seasons in the rearview mirror, and they never materialized when it counted in January. They never showed up in those crucial postseason contests. In every single high-stakes playoff matchup that the Buffalo Bills were compelled to participate in, we never witnessed a defensive showing comparable to what we've observed from the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, or goodness gracious, even the Bengals, which is frankly astonishing to even contemplate. We have simply never seen that level of defensive performance. We have never witnessed it. Consequently, I have no desire to hear any arguments to the contrary. That is the fundamental reason he was relieved of his duties. He mishandled these rosters year upon year upon year. Remember when he was perched on the precipice of termination, and that entire investigative piece emerged detailing his peccul. Yar remarks about various subjects, and people began questioning, is this individual about to be shown the door? And do you know why he wasn't? Because Josh Allen intervened and preserved his position. That is the sole explanation. Thus, this entire narrative suggesting, oh, there was simply an overwhelming surge of emotion and immense pressure, so they essentially had to release the valve and everyone was shedding tears and all that drama. Good heavens. I could clench my jaw so tightly that my teeth might actually fracture. It provokes such intense frustration within me because it is so utterly preposterous, so blatantly incorrect, and demonstrates such a profound failure to comprehend how emotions manifest when you are an athlete, when you are competing at the highest level. I distinctly recall when they suffered that loss and numerous players were visibly weeping, and Nick declared, "This is so humiliating." And I simply couldn't process it. I truly, genuinely could not fathom that reaction. I honestly couldn't, because those tears were shed for one another. They were crying because they felt they had failed their teammates. They were weeping for the men they stood shoulder to shoulder with. It was, in reality, a profoundly moving and poignant moment. And then I remember the counter-arguments that emerged when I pointed out that other players in different contexts had also cried, and the response was, yeah, but that was in the Super Bowl. This was merely the divisional round. And my reaction was, oh, I see. So you've appointed yourself the authority on when it's permissible to display emotions during the playoffs. It's remarkable how some individuals can be so delusional and absurd. Anyone who criticizes that display has never, ever participated in a game or sport that carried genuine significance in any meaningful capacity, or alternatively, they possess such a fragile sense of self that they cannot fathom exhibiting vulnerability. So, which is it? You either have no competitive experience, or you're so deeply insecure about masculine identity that you simply cannot tolerate such displays. There is only one humiliating perspective to hold on this matter, and it is the opposite stance. And it strikes me as absolutely insane. Completely, fundamentally irrational. And now we're being told that emotional outburst was the catalyst for McDermott's dismissal. No. If nobody had shed a single tear, Sean McDermott would still have been fired. Nobody would have retained their position. I mean, even in a scenario with no crying, Sean McDermott would still have been dismissed. No question whatsoever. Absolutely no question. Sean McDermott failed season after season after season after season. Cease this nonsensical rhetoric. He did not optimize the potential of those defensive units. Those defenses were outdated, static, and riddled with repeated errors and miscalculations. You want to discuss how Sean McDermott had to walk that tight rope, maintain discipline, and maximize player performance and all that? What exactly are we even discussing at this point? Because the Buffalo Bills were renowned for their exemplary discipline, organizational structure, innovation, creativity, and high-level execution, were they? No, you know what the Buffalo Bills are actually known for? Josh Allen, and more Josh Allen. Without Josh Allen, that Buffalo Bills roster is simply not even a playoff-caliber team. I previously established this point. The Buffalo Bills do not reach the postseason if Josh Allen is not under center. That is an indisputable fact. It's elementary mathematics, third-grade arithmetic, second-grade addition. It's not complicated to comprehend. It is the most rudimentary calculation. There were approximately 4 or 5 games that they would have unequivocally lost without Josh Allen's contributions. They wouldn't even advance past the wildcard round without his heroics. So, just halt this absolute nonsense immediately. We survey this entire league and observe these defensive units thriving year after year after year. Mike McDonald, D'Amico Ryans, Mike Vrabel, Vic Fangio, Old Man Fangio goes to Philadelphia and transforms that defense into a significantly superior unit in the blink of an eye. Spagnuolo, year after year after year, achieves tremendous success with the Kansas City Chiefs. We cannot make such statements about Sean McDermott. And so, if you are not effectively managing your side of the football, then what exactly are you contributing? And furthermore, this entire notion that Joe Brady is merely a player-friendly coach who lacks toughness, but trust me, I've observed Brady's demeanor. I've witnessed his emotional range. I've seen how he conducts himself. I'm familiar with coaches like Joe Brady. And believe me, when Brady needs to command attention and enforce standards, he does so effectively. Let's not pretend this individual is simply performing magic tricks and juggling for the players, exclaiming, "Come on, everyone. We're all friends here." No, he understands how to maintain equilibrium. One of the most astute maneuvers I observed him execute was when the offense committed turnovers during practice, he celebrated with the defense. That demonstrates intelligence. That shows wisdom. That is genuinely, remarkably intelligent because he recognizes that he will be intimately involved with that offensive unit. He understands the errors and adjustments required on that side of the ball. That's his domain. Consequently, he knows precisely how to correct those issues. He knows exactly what strategies to implement. He knows exactly what he possesses in Josh Allen. And so, in that particular moment, he acknowledges, hey, this represents a significant achievement for the defense. That is called balance, comprehension, composure, and confidence, not insecurity. Many of these hard-nosed, disciplinarian coaches are actually insecure individuals. That's the REA. Lighty. We just witnessed this with Mike Munchak in Cleveland when he was losing his composure over defensive turnovers. You know, during 7-on-7 drills, becoming visibly agitated and venting his frustrations to the media. Yes, that is insecurity. That is a lack of confidence. That suggests, ooh, I'm feeling somewhat uncomfortable right now. So, the fact that people cannot properly analyze and understand this dynamic is genuinely astonishing to me. Astonishing. Truly astonishing. And if you want to characterize Sean McDermott as a tough, disciplinarian-style coach, a pressure cooker type, and you want to debate what approaches are effective and which are not, when Brew was discussing how one philosophy works versus another, it's important to recognize that most teams are simply deficient in talent. That's why they lose games, regardless of who is coaching them. That's point number 1. Point number 2, pressure cooker coaches can only achieve limited success. When you possess elite talent, when you have greatness on your roster, certainly you can get by with that approach. If you lack that talent, you crumble. You fracture under the strain. It's that straightforward. But you require equilibrium. That's precisely what makes Andy Reid such an exceptional coach, because he demands that intentionality and intensity. He insists upon accountability. But he doesn't create the sensation that you're trapped in a pressure cooker environment. At this stage in his career, obviously. Given his age, it's almost like having a grandfather figure who says, "Hey, buddy. I'm pushing you because I care about you." Right? It's like, I'm making you work diligently. I'm keeping you late and requiring all this effort until sundown, but I'm doing it out of genuine affection because I know it will ultimately make you a better person. Right? So you observe that approach and you respect it. You observe it and you appreciate it. Whereas some other coaches will bring that same energy, but it simply feels like they're relentlessly piling on you, constantly, unceasingly, and that creates the sense that, once again, you're just going to fracture under the weight of that pressure. And it's simply a matter of appropriate timing and context. I think of Tom Coughlin with the Giants and that infamous punt incident. Or countless other moments when you see coaches, and clearly a player has made a mistake, and the coach is screaming at him, and the player is already fully aware that he made an error in that instant. That is not the appropriate moment for that conversation. That is not the time for that emotional outburst. Trust me, the player knows deep in his core that they just lost that game and he was a significant contributing factor. We could argue, well, it was just one play. But no game truly hinges on a single play. He knows in the depths of his being that yes, he was a major reason they suffered defeat. You losing your composure and screaming, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? That accomplishes nothing constructive, which is precisely why Andy Reid, one of the most demanding and notoriously hardworking coaches who generates maximum intensity from his team, never engages in that type of behavior. That's why he can handle Travis Kelce screaming in his face and bumping into him, and it's as though nothing even occurred. Can you envision if that had been another coach? People would be saying, oh man, he's lost control of the locker room. Oh, can you imagine? Just imagine if that had been someone like Nick Sirianni or Joe Brady. So, you must understand who you're dealing with in any given situation. And it appears that we fundamentally lack that understanding on either side of the argument. The entire portrayal of Joe Brady as running a loose ship where everyone is dancing and running around, with shirtless Tuesdays and wacky hair Wednesdays, as if he's just allowing cookies and meetings, no shoes required, no homework, it's like, what is this, an 80s teen comedy? What are we even doing here? Summer school is in session, we're going surfing on Thursday. I genuinely cannot comprehend the picture they're attempting to paint right now. I truly cannot. I feel as though I'm losing my sanity. I genuinely feel that way. What are we even doing here? I'm losing my voice from this. Oh, goodness. I need to upload this video. I just need to post it. I need to conclude it and publish it because I need to read the comments. The comment section typically has a calming effect on me because it's always filled with such balanced, grounded perspectives. And they're going to respond with, yeah, man. I completely understand your viewpoint and I fully concur. You're absolutely right. And I'm thinking, oh yes, and that affirmation feels wonderful to receive. So, in no way are people going to come out and comment, wow, look at you getting so worked up now? Why do you become so angry? Living in their heads rent-free. Those are simply my reflections on the matter. I would absolutely love to hear your perspectives. What did you all think? What are your thoughts regarding the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen's emotional response, Sean McDermott's situation, the players, the coach, and the disciplinarian coaching philosophy? Please inform me in the comments section below. I personally read every single comment. So whether you align with my perspective or disagree with me, either way, let's generate some discussion. Let's have some spirited debates, but ultimately, let's ensure we're having fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're cultivating an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you become part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're truly excited to be part of. I believe we're making excellent progress toward that goal. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely assists with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.